Welcome to the Temple of Geek. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today. I'm really excited to talk to you about Jump Leads. I really want to know, how did this go from a webcomic to now going into a full audio series?
It's a great question. It always originally was, I wrote it for television originally. I wrote it and I sent it into the BBC writer's room in 2006, so a very, very long time ago now. And they sent me this lovely letter back that basically said, this is cool, but you are not there yet. And I, being kind of a brash, precocious 20-year-old, decided, I think I am there. So I'm going to do it as a comic on the internet and actually screw you a little bit, BBC. We launched it as a webcomic in 2007. I have a friend in Russia named Eugene who did the art. Had some other friends kind of come in kind of a writer's room situation. And we did the comic for 6 years. We did a handful of issues. It had a decent readership. And I started toying with the idea of doing audios in like 2010, 2011 as like an add-on thing for the comic. And then when the comic ended in 2013, I thought about ways that I could continue it. And then I thought about the things that I was 20 years old when I wrote the first episode, which became the first issue, and I thought there were things I wanted to do differently. Ended up just kind of deciding to do it as a full-on reboot. In the comic, one of the characters is male. I made her female for the audios, and we just kind of went back to the beginning to just play with those characters again and play in that space, but also to tell brand new stories. So people who were familiar with the webcomic, you'll recognize the first episode, maybe episode and a half, and after that, it is all brand new stuff.
And that was my next question, was like, how do the comics and the audio series tie in? Is it the same general vibe that you started out with? If you could tell our audience a little bit about how you came up with the idea and what the comic and the audio series are about.
Yeah, so Jump Leads is a science fiction comedy. It is about a pair of trainees in what I've called the lead service. It's kind of a self-appointed reality police. So they travel to parallel universes and fix things. But they're trainees, so they're going on field training exercises. They're learning the ropes. And I came up with the idea. It was 2006. I'm a huge fan of science fiction comedy. I love things like Red Dwarf and Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and Futurama. And in 2006, most of those things had kind of gone away. Red Dwarf had been off the air for 7 years. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy movie had been fine, but hadn't blown anyone away, so it didn't look like there were going to be any sequels. And Futurama had been cancelled, I think, 2 years ago, and at that point, there was no talk of that coming back. So my goal was I wanted to kind of write something and make something that continued that same kind of vibe, particularly Red Dwarf, because Red Dwarf is one of my favorite TV shows. Like, for me, I'm a huge Doctor Who fan. Red Dwarf is right up there with Doctor Who. So I wanted to write something that felt like Doctor Who meets Red Dwarf, but that was also, I've always been obsessed and fascinated with parallel universes, like TV shows like Sliders and a little bit of Quantum Leap. I know that's more time travel, but I wanted to kind of jam those things together and make the kind of thing that I would want to watch or read or listen to. And that's where that comes from.
And now with the audio series, when you started to think about it and plan and kind of look into how you were going to do it, you said you made some changes. Did you make any changes as far as the tone of it, or was it just changes as far as small things?
Tonally, it's very much the same as the webcomic. If anyone who read the webcomic were to come into the audios now, I think they would very much recognize the characters. They'd recognize the vibe. I wanted that kind of... A lot of it is character-based. A lot of it is kind of the character interactions and the way that the two main characters, Meaney and Llewellyn, and the way that they kind of interact and bounce off of each other and bicker with each other. They bicker in that kind of very acerbic British kind of British sitcom way, like Blackadder, Red Dwarf. That's the stuff I grew up on. So that's kind of the flavor of it. And I wanted to keep that alive in the audios. And you have to turn things up a little bit for audio because there's no visual to go with it. And the art for the comic is beautiful. And the comic's still all up online. You can find the comic at jumpleads.zone. With the audio, I lean very much on the writing, but also on the performances of the incredible cast. I do voice one of the characters, but the rest of the cast, we have Marissa Mizell voicing Meaney. We have Dino Andrade, who's voicing a number of characters. He's known for things like Brutal Legend, World of Warcraft, Batman Arkham Asylum. We have Austin Lee Matthews, who directed most of the show. He's worked on things like Final Fantasy VII Remake and Pokemon Evolution and JoJo's Bizarre. There's tons and tons of stuff that the cast has done, and they just really brought it to life in audio the way that the artist for the comic brought it to life in art. So I think, if people are looking for something with that kind of British sensibility and that kind of the sense of humor of British comedy, British sci-fi comedy, I think they're going to be very pleasantly surprised.
Tell me about the audio series as far as when can we expect it? What can audiences expect when they first tune in?
The first episode drops on April 26th. You can listen at audio.jumpleads.zone, or you can search for Jump Leads in your favorite podcasting app of choice. There's already a trailer that you can listen to right now. What can people expect when they start listening? You can immediately expect to hear our two main characters kind of arguing. I think you're going to find that the kind of sense of science fiction adventure that you get from shows like Doctor Who, I think that's definitely there. I'm so proud of the writing on this. One of the episodes, 6 episodes, we're doing one a week for 6 weeks. And episode 3 might be the best thing I've ever written. I'm so proud of this one episode in particular. The idea has been sitting in my head for 15 years, and to finally get it on the page and then to record it and then to edit it and do all the sound design. I think that's the episode I'm most excited and nervous for people to hear, but I'm really proud of this. I think people who like that kind of sci-fi adventure, sci-fi comedy, I think that they're going to get a real kick out. I hope they get a real kick out of this.
Can you tell me a little bit about your two main characters that you mentioned?
Yeah. So Thomas Meaney, she is in her early to mid-20s. She is young. She's excitable. She's very passionate about what she's doing. She is a cadet in the lead service in this organization that travels to parallel universes and tries to fix things. And it's what she's wanted her entire life. And she's so excited about that and so enthusiastic about that. But she's been partnered with this guy named Llewellyn, Richard Llewellyn, who I play. He's a little older. He's in his kind of mid to late 20s. He's gone through the training multiple times and failed it multiple times. He's kind of embittered. He's cynical. He's very negative. He doesn't want to be there, but he kind of feels like he doesn't have anything else to do or anywhere else to go. So you have these two characters with very different outlooks on life and very different outlooks on the job that they're doing the job that they're doing, and the fun in writing those characters and playing those characters and listening to those characters is in how they're very radically different approaches to the scenario that they've been dropped in, because you have one character who's so excited to be there and another character who wants nothing more than to just relax on a beach with a martini and just not care about what's happening. And the kind of
most workplaces, very relatable.
yeah. It's kind of the Odd Couple meets Sliders a little bit, but with robots. Yeah, there's a lot of robots this season, accidentally. Oops.
That's amazing. Where can people listen to it?
Yeah, you can subscribe right now. You can search for Jump Leads in your podcasting app of preference, or you can go to audio.jumpleads.zone and you can listen there. You can also find the original webcomic at jumpleads.zone. Everything is available online, and the first episode drops on April 26th.
And then you said it's weekly episodes after that.
Yes, 6 episodes, one a week, every week for 6 weeks. So the first episode goes out April 26th, and then the season finale is, I think, March 31st.
How exciting! That sounds like so much fun.
I'm very excited. I can't wait for people to hear it.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I can't wait to dive in and check it out. Is there anything else you want to tell our audience before we wrap up?
Yeah, as well as Jump Leads, please listen to the Game of Rassilon. It is a Doctor Who role-playing game actual play podcast. You can find that at adventuresintimeand.space. And I am also on a Thirsty Sword Lesbians actual play podcast called Strumpets and Flagons. And you can find both of those shows in your podcasting app.
Awesome, Ben. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate you taking the time.